Hey everybody, I'm Clown Sandwich, and welcome to my short introduction into reverse rotations. So most of you at this point are probably pretty familiar with how standard rotations work. You move to the back post, and then you push back forward, always attacking from the back, and looking to attack the ball carrier in a face-up motion. The main problem with this is that it's very difficult to take control or to challenge the ball carrier when they already have control. It's difficult to close that gap once they've already created control. I typically call this area no man's land, where if they have control of the ball and you try to challenge them, they're going to be able to just beat you. They can flick the ball over the top, they can hit it off the wall, they can pass it middle, they have all kinds of options. A small movement from them can send the ball on very different trajectories, and you as the approaching person have to make that decision before they do. So if you're watching how you approach, the offensive player who has full control of the ball should be able to keep control of that ball no matter what the defensive player does. You're really relying on them to either not have perfect control or relying on them to make a mistake in how they're watching you approach in order to be able to get a play on this. Standard rotation, as you see, if you're going to be attacking forward, yes, you do have backup in that there's another person ready to attack this way, but they're going to be at the same disadvantage, right? So as soon as they beat the first one, if they're able to keep control, then he's going to be able to do the same thing to the next person and the same thing to the next person, and it doesn't matter how many people you send one at a time to attack this person, they're going to be able to take control and make a play. They can beat each individual player on the team one at a time in order to get an open net for himself and offensively take the ball 1 versus 3. They're able to do this because each individual interaction is at the advantage of the offensive player, and we're taking turns doing it one at a time rather than working together to accomplish that goal. So the way we do that is by taking that rotation, and we're going to literally turn it around the other way. Now, instead of flinging missiles at the ball and having this one line of trajectory, this one lane of attack, we're now spinning in the opposite direction. We're covering this inner circle, and this top layer is able to deflect towards the back and towards the corner to protect the center and funnel this towards the back, while the back side of a circle is going to be able to give you a secondary chance to also hit that ball across the field and out this way. So instead of having lots of opportunities to attack one at a time into these disadvantaged shots, we're going to be able to share that responsibility by having 2 players that can each hold a different layer, and it makes each person's individual job easier. So let's go ahead and take a look at this first player's responsibility and what I call the swiper position. This person is going to be looking to pressure the ball, typically from the inside, holding the midfield if possible, and pressuring that ball to funnel him outside to keep him on the ball side and push him downfield towards the corner. We're not attacking directly at the ball, where if we miss, we're taking ourselves completely out of a play, which has to go a long way back to get back into rotation. We're instead setting ourselves up on a similar trajectory where we can now move with the play. So what getting on a similar trajectory does is it gives you a much closer relative speed to the ball, and it's going to improve your reaction times drastically. So if you imagine that 2 cars are driving 45 miles an hour and they're driving directly at each other, it's going to appear from inside that car that the other one is driving 90 miles an hour directly at them. That gives you a very short amount of time to react and make decisions. Now if you imagine those same 2 cars going 45 miles an hour, except now they're facing the same direction or a similar direction, it's more like a race. They can both be going the same speed, but they're staying right next to each other. They're keeping pace and they're able to apply constant pressure. And that's what we're looking to do here. You'll see very similar motions in hockey, which is also a very momentum-based sport, and where the defenders are taking away the inside and they're pushing or funneling the ball towards the wall in order to keep them away from the central areas. Okay, so as we apply this pressure sideways and back, at any point we're able to attack if we see an opportunity. If they lose control of the ball, if they get a bad touch, you just see an opportunity, we're welcome to jump in at any moment as opportunity presents itself. If not, we don't have to attack the ball, we can still flow back. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply the pressure by the time we get to the top box. So once we get to the top box, we're going to apply that pressure and take away any low or slow option by the time it gets here. So this player prevents the offensive player with the ball from being able to slow play this anywhere through the middle, and sort of applies that pressure in order to force him to either hit this ball very high and beat him up, or to hit this ball very fast and beat him to the ball. Both of those things are going to make it much easier for the secondary person here in the back. So since we're attacking from the side on the swiper position rather than from the back, our third man no longer has to push forward to attack in this face-up motion and can now turn around backwards and cover the backside. This gives us a very layered defense where we have one person covering the ball and applying pressure, and we have another person looking for anything that gets past him. So now that we understand how reverse rotation works, let's take a look at some examples. I've decided to use clips from BDS vs G2 in the World Championships to see it in action. So let's take a look at this play and see how they respond to the defensive transition when this shot opportunity doesn't work out. We have a pinch out, and now let's take a look at what we have going on here. Extra is covering the midfield, preventing any type of hit from the middle, staying far enough back to where if he bangs this ball, he's going to be able to block this in that mirror pattern, and he's buying enough time for Seiko to get back. Seiko is going to be exiting out on the ball side. He doesn't have a good challenge attempt here, so he's just going to exit and play this deep. Extra is going to hold the deep as long as he has to, and then release the deep end for Seiko, and end up covering this shallow end. So we have this swiping motion, this funnel towards the wall. So as this play develops, here comes Chicago, and we take a look at this. Extra is covering this area right in front of the ball. If Chicago tries to bring this back down to the ground or slow play this, Extra is there to be able to challenge that. If Chicago decides to flip into this, take any type of forward motion, then we have Seiko who's covering this deeper area. No matter what Chicago does, he has to pick who he's going to be bringing this ball to, and everybody on his team is behind him, unable to give him help. At this point, he has no option but to choose who he wants to give possession away to, because they worked in tandem to be able to take away all of his options, rather than sending one person to attack the ball face up when they would be at a disadvantage. He decides to hit that ball a little bit. This ball goes straight out to Seiko for free, and here we're able to take the possession and go back on the other side. Okay, so here we have another example from the same game, and they're going to push in, realize they're on defense. Immediately they have to cover the deep side. That's the most important thing. So we have Seiko running away. But as soon as Monkey gets this challenge, and there's no longer an immediate threat here, look at how they're moving. Seiko is immediately moving up back to the middle to cover this top box region. Again, we're trying to cover these central areas. He wants to get to the top here and get in this flexible motion, get in the path of JNAPs to be able to cut him off from being able to do what he wants to do on offense. Extra is now taking this time to flow through all the way to the backside and allow Seiko to apply this pressure rather than trying to turn and attack this or send Seiko to attack this immediately. We're getting into these reverse rotation positions. Seiko pushes across. He's able to shield this and create enough space for Extra to come back here. Seiko's job is to take away anything low and slow. If JNAPS was to beat him and go back here, Extra would be able to get this clear and have a lot of space to work with. He sees an opportunity and is able to jump here, but they're safe by covering both layers and having two separate responsibilities. Not until Extra sees that Seiko has gotten a good hit and put this into a space that he can contest does he actually turn to go for this. Okay, here we have another defensive transition, and let's take a look at how BDS applies the reverse rotation to this one. Seiko pushed through underneath. We're applying pressure from Monkey. Seiko on the back. As they can't apply pressure, watch Extra. He's hovering the mid, making sure nothing goes deep to get to that swipe. We have Extra coming around to apply that pressure and buying time for Seiko to get back through here. And Monkey Moon is not retreating to the back. He's slowing down and looking to fill this area to replace Extra as he goes. They come in through the top of the box. Extra challenges the first one. Monkey is now immediately replacing him in that same positioning to cover this area. And either him or Seiko are free to take this ball. They control these two areas between the two of them, but they have so much room that either one of them can play this ball. But if this was further out, it would definitely be Monkey Moon's. If it was a little bit closer, it would definitely be Seiko's. Either way, they've got this whole area locked. We're able to continue to apply this swiping pressure, play it into our areas that we control, and then look to break out and take possession of this ball offensively. I do want to stress the fact that this was not meant to be a replacement for standard rotation. Just like no team follows standard rotation to the T, using it as an exact guideline on how to play every single play, this should not be used as a guideline or a flowchart on how to always position and how to always rotate. I presented these concepts as a rotation because they can be performed that way, as an entire rotation, but you don't have to do it that way. You don't have to pick one strategy and stick with it for every game all the time. You can incorporate bits and pieces of all the different things you see, and things that may not fit directly into any rotation into your gameplay. If you'd like to see me go more in depth on some of these concepts, or introduce you to more concepts that I wasn't able to cover in this video, let me know and I'd be happy to do those in the future. I do also want to mention again that this is a high-level rotational concept. This was not meant for lower ranked players. This concept, while making your individual job easier, does require a very high level of consistency. By working in tandem to cover two different layers instead of taking turns, you lose your safety net of having another person who's able to cover everything in case you miss. Huge shout out to Kevhurt, Values, and Pixel. All of you guys were instrumental in my development as a coach and helping me learn some of these concepts and start to develop this style. In the meantime, I'd recommend you check out this video from Kevhurt. It approaches these concepts from a 1v1 perspective, but a lot of the same concepts can be applied to both. Well, that's going to do it for our video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it. Hope you learned something. I'm Clown Sandwich. And until next time, best of luck to you, and I'll see you on the next video.